right, BIW Radio. We're going to quickly be running through this Clash in Italy card, just reviewing it. It might be my last review after this show. I'd rather, if anything, talk about that El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano match. That was such a good match that they did a special encore presentation of that match after Raw on Monday. And I would have watched it again, except I had actually already watched it again. And I don't go back and rewatch matches. And for the most part, like, not instantaneously anyways. Sometimes I may want to the odd time, but, you know, who has the time for that? And speaking of not having the time for things, this is your review of Clash in Italy that no one is going to listen to. And I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, we're going to try different things on the channel. It's not going to be all chat and match, and obviously that stuff is what's going to hit the most, and the you know, classic moment stuff. But we got to try some of our own unique content and all of that. Anyway, where do we start? Cody Rhodes going against Gunther. I can't believe what they did here. You know, they built Gunther up. He was beating all the legends, putting them into retirement, then got a win over Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins took a loss to keep elevating Gunther at, like, WrestleMania, I think that was, when they both had nothing to do. And then all of that just for Cody to defeat Gunther. Now, mind you, it wasn't a legitimate defeat since Gunther's leg was clearly under the rope. So Gunther is going to now, you know, probably keep claiming that his foot was under the rope and that he wasn't actually defeated by Cody Rhodes. But I don't want him to go into like a Sami Zayn type thing where everything's a conspiracy and it's not fair and Cody's the Nepo baby. But I really expected Gunther to win over Cody Rhodes, even if Sami Zayn got involved and cost the match or something. I really did not expect things to go this way, and I can't believe that they did this. They had two better choices. One, don't have this match, or two, have Gunther defeat Cody Rhodes. So I'm actually astonished and don't understand what they're doing there. But obviously we're going to get more of that. We're going to get more between Gunther and Cody Rhodes because his foot was under the rope. So Gunther was not legitimately defeated. Referee's decision is final most of the time, but Jesus. Then we got Rhea Ripley retaining over Jade Cargill. So I was right about that one if you go back and listen to the last episode of BIW Radio. And Brock Lesnar defeating Obafemi by pinfall. It was a good match. I'm not going to get too into it. It was a good match. But, you know, a lot of F5s. A lot of F5s. You know what I was wondering? I didn't see a lot of Suplex City in this match. And I'm wondering if Brock can pull that off against Obafemi or what's going on there. Sol Ruka defeating Becky Lynch. This one was the most surprising to me. I thought they were just going to give Sol Ruka a really good match with Becky Lynch, show that she is in that, or present her at least as if she's in that echelon. But no. So this women's intercontinental title that they've and I said this might happen. This is exactly what I said. I said this women's intercontinental title that they've established. It basically, the first person to hold it was Lyra Valkyria, and then you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Becky won it, and then it just, you know, went back and forth between some people. But it's primarily Becky winning it and losing it to help put over other people and, you know, kind of elevate them up the card. Lyra had it at one point, obviously. And I think, you know, there's interesting stuff going on between Bailey and Lyra. because I think Bayley's wanted a shot at that IC title for a long time, and we're not going to get into Raw, but obviously there was something on Raw with that where Bayley kind of wanted a shot at Sol Ruka's newly won IC title, but it's probably going to be Lyra, and so are we getting friction between those two again? That kind of goes in circles. Everything kind of goes in circles on this show lately. Roman Reigns defeating Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu, taking the loss. And again, I said I didn't want to go into too much about Raw, but obviously Jacob Fatu, surprisingly in some ways, maybe not entirely. I guess I talked about this on the last episode. One of the options, I said Roman was winning. I just didn't really know if it would be clean or what would go on. I mean, I guess it's not really a clean win anyway in tribal combat. It just is what it is. So they went almost half an hour for this one, by the way. And Roman Reigns ultimately winning, and Jacob Fatu, as I was about to say, on Raw, basically or literally acknowledging Roman Reigns as his tribal chief, and now the new bloodline is Roman, the Usos, and Jacob Fatu. I'm not going to complain about that part. That's a stronger than ever version of the bloodline. But where do we go from here? And what does it do for Jacob? Like, it's they put the world title on Jey Uso for a little bit, and Yeet Mania was running wild, all that, and then they took it off him and ultimately put him back with his brother Jimmy, and back into the bloodline was the next step, and it's almost a step down for Jay. And then Jacob as well is almost kind of taking a step down. Sometimes, though, there's a bigger picture. I don't really trust the booking these days, but sometimes there's a bigger picture. And the bloodline together is money. But what does this mean for Jimmy Uso? Jey Uso, I could see going after Cody. Roman was kind of hinting at that on Raw. The reason I'm getting into the Raw stuff is I'm kind of doing this review late. No one's really going to listen to it, but I might as well get to the up-to-date stuff just in case somebody does. So that's about it, guys. I don't review the show weekly because there's so many shows and people with more qualified opinions than me to talk about all this stuff. I can give my educated opinions as a super long time watcher, but I mean, there's elsewhere to get that. That's not really what the channel's all about. But I thought it would be cool to do this BIW radio and review the big shows. So maybe we'll keep doing that, maybe not. If you want to watch one match this week, I'm going to stand in line probably with what most people would tell you this week, and that would be watch the AAA show, but specifically the main event of the AAA show, El Grande Americano, the original Chad Gable, against I guess they were calling him the real El Grande Americano, Ludwig Kaiser. Now, the thing is, I want to point out, the thing I really do respect about this whole thing is that Ludwig Kaiser went out and legit started to teach himself Spanish so that he could play this character better. And he does play the character better. And it's cool how it turned into a whole thing and got more over in Mexico than it ever was on Raw. I think that's really cool and speaks to the different audiences and speaks to like why territories were cool and you could try different things out in different places and they'd work really well in a lot of places and maybe not as well in others. Or in some places you might be a babyface and you go to another place doing the exact same thing without changing a single thing, and you're perceived as a heel. And some of that magic is gone, especially in a company the size of WWE, because it's this like global thing. So the only way they can kind of recreate that on some sort of level in their WWE universe, as they like to call it, is basically with all the different countries they go to. But I miss the old days. Anyways, that's 10 minutes. Like, share, subscribe. Tell me if you want more of these, because I'm leaning towards not really doing a lot of the BIW radio, but we'll see. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for supporting the channel and checking out all the other videos. Peace.